I like them all, and I own them all. I think silver has the best potential. I think platinum has one of the most interesting stories. But I think when the music stops, gold will be pegged to a new system globally. And I think if I had one trade, it would be gold. If I had two, it would be buy some silver and then switch it to gold when the ratio between the two correct. And my third choice is platinum. It has an interesting story, but they're high premium items, and like the U.S. Mint hasn't made a platinum eagle in 3, 4, 5 years or longer. And I like it. It has an interesting story similar to silver, but it doesn't have the history that gold and silver do from a monetary perspective. Gold and silver cumulatively mentioned 700 times or more in the Bible. I mean, it's been wealth since biblical times, and kings and queens and emperors and pharaohs never owned gold to become wealthy. They owned it because it was immutable wealth that they could pass on to their future generations, and it's wealth. I never said there would be a gold revaluation. I said they could. James Rickards talks about it, gold being revalued, that they wouldn't even need congressional approval. The president would just tell Treasury Secretary revalue gold, who tells the Fed, and they issue new gold certificates. And every $4,000 increase in the price of gold would give the Treasury General account $1 trillion free and clear. That, guys like Luke Gromen said, maybe they'll let gold rise organically, 7,000, 8,000, and then revalue it either market to market because it's valued at 42.22 or maybe more. Now, as far as Judy is concerned, she's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life, Judy Schectman. I've interviewed her twice. I interviewed her once, and Michelle McCory, my co-host, interviewed her the other time. She's brilliant. She was Trump's nominee to run the Fed. She wrote a book, bestseller, Good as Gold. She's on X. She's on interviews left and right. Yeah. And she said to me, on my video, Andy, in no uncertain terms, when I was on President Trump's transition team, we discussed this at length, and he told me July 4th would be the most important day of his presidency, the 250th anniversary, and I believe there is a very, very good chance that he will issue gold-backed treasuries, 50-year to begin. In her book, she says 50 to start with a very low coupon, and then 5, 10, 20, and 30 with a zero coupon. You want to talk about bringing back manufacturing, using company like Tether, the price to go to the moon, sell it to the Treasury to back the back end of the bond, and the price goes up. A long-dated instrument would be easy to pay off as gold continues to go high. I think it is the best idea I have ever heard to get us out of this system. Look, my mentor, Richard Russell, God bless him and God rest his soul, said 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that we're screwed. We have two choices. We can inflate or die. And I said, why is it that way, Richard? He said, because we consume more than we produce. We're consumers, we're not producers. And if you consume more than you produce, well, that means you're spending more than you're earning. So your indebtedness never gets resolved. So you either inflate or default. And so remember I mentioned there's never been a country to come back from 300% debt to GDP. If you add our unfunded liabilities of $175 trillion in Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, we're way over 300%. That's why it's not on the balance sheet. But the point of it is that he said, unless we find a way to produce and reshore manufacturing, because being the world reserve currency through Triffin's dilemma says you can't have a trade surplus. The world needs more dollars than we can give them alone. And we don't trade enough with every country to give them enough dollars to buy energy alone. So you find a country like Cambodia, who we don't trade with, well, they have to sell their currency in the open market to buy dollars to buy oil. This creates a massive discrepancy over time. And so someone says, let's send our manufacturing to Cambodia. We'll make 10x. And that's how the manufacturing gets eviscerated in the world reserve currency. That's why China doesn't want to be a world reserve currency. They have too big of a manufacturing stake. They want to issue something parallel to the dollar and not be the reserve currency, I believe. And I think nor does Vice President Vance, who's talked about it for a long time, or the previous economic advisor of the Biden White House, Jared Bernstein, wrote a report, Dethrone King Dollar. We can't be the reserve currency, he said, anymore because of Triffin's dilemma. Vance said the same thing twice that I've heard. The point of it is that she's spot on. And I hope that they do it. Now, the problem was, and I never said I believed it would happen. I said Judy told me, and I believe her. And if it happens, that would be amazing.
Yes, it's
And,
possible. It's
and
possible.
I think relying on a date is a big mistake. It just is. And because you're going to be unhappy 99% of the time.
We're
And
all
so I
trying.
took, I just simply said, look, she said it in her book. She told me twice. She says it in all these interviews. It would be amazing. And I think it's a great idea. And I still do. I
Yeah,
think it is a way for us to reshore manufacturing.
yeah, and it can still happen, right? Maybe there's some logistics behind the scene that we don't know of, and they couldn't do it by that date or whatever.
Let's hope so.
It still could happen. So curious in your thoughts on what ultimately happens with this paper market versus what's happening in the East, where China's trying to eliminate this whole paper speculation and
I
everything.
just think it slowly begins to move towards real price discovery. And, the trap that's right here in front of me is to say it happens immediately, but nothing happens immediately. I don't think that serves the purposes of them, but it begins to, over time, chip away at a system. Like, for example, at the same time China gets rid of their public's ability to speculate in futures and wants them only to buy physical, the CME Group opens a 24-hour a day, 1 ounce contract that's non-deliverable, increasing
Yeah, it's
the
funny.
public's exposure to speculation as China's moving the other way. And the longer that we screw with the price of gold and silver, the more deliveries you'll see them take. And that's why they're arbitraging, keeping a price higher for over a year in silver and gold than the Western price. So over time, price will move to, or volume will move to the best price. And I just think that, people will say, well, who will trust China, this and that? Who trusts the United States anymore? And look, I'm a patriot, man. I love this country. I truly do. I thank God every day I was born here. But the truth of the matter is that we look very dysfunctional. Let me give you an example of that.
Well, the truth of the matter is we got all these PhDs, but no common sense, right?
Well, that's exactly right. There's like 35 congressional candidates running that are on the socialist platform. What?
Yeah.
That want to eliminate Congress, want to eliminate the jails, want to, over time, eliminate the jails, allow all the people in this country here illegally to have, to be sovereign immunity. You're in and become pathway to becoming citizens. They want all the corporations to be owned by the government. They're moving towards a socialist agenda. You can't make it up. But I don't know. I think that this is a situation where you are going to see a view of the United States that won't be the epicenter for price discovery of all of the commodities that the West has controlled for a very long time. And I just think that it's moving in a direction where transparency, immediate delivery, same day settlement, and in another currency will give legitimacy to an exchange very quickly. Maybe that's part of the reason you saw a good portion of the J.P. Morgan trading desk move to Singapore. I don't know, just throwing that out there. I think the Western system, which has for years operated under the theory that no one would stand for delivery, the fact that we're seeing these deliveries is creating a big problem, because you can sell and sell and sell and sell the same contract over and over and over again if you know no one's going to stand for delivery, and that's what's changing the system. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is flowing to the East, and I don't think it's about as much metal flowing to the East as it is a new system migrating from paper rehypothecation to same-day settlement. And it's a big deal, Daryl. It truly is. And
yeah,
I guess we'll see how it all plays out, but that is my feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my thoughts are 20 years down the line, gold's going to be a lot higher than where it is today, and so that's
no question about that.
How I look at it. So I'm buying and sitting tight. Which metal would you be buying right now? All of them have sold off. Which ones are piquing your interest? Gold, platinum, silver?
I like them all, and I own them all. I think silver has the best potential. I think platinum has one of the most interesting stories. But I think when the music stops, gold will be pegged to a new system globally. And I think if I had one trade, it would be gold. If I had two, it would be buy some silver and then switch it to gold when the ratio between the two correct. And my third choice is platinum. It has an interesting story, but they're high premium items, and like the U.S. Mint hasn't made a platinum eagle in 3, 4, 5 years or longer, and I like it. It has an interesting story similar to silver, but it doesn't have the history that gold and silver do from a monetary perspective. Gold and silver cumulatively mentioned 700 times or more in the Bible. I mean, it's been wealth since biblical times, and kings and queens and emperors and pharaohs never owned gold to become wealthy. They owned it because it was immutable wealth that they could pass on to their future generations, and it's wealth. You own enough of it, you might be wealthy, but you don't buy it to become wealthy, and that's how I believe that to my core. Silver has the kind of potential that could make you wealthy if it goes to where it should go. We saw a brief glimpse of that earlier in the year. And the sell-off, by the way, which the Bank of International Settlements called structural, not fundamental, meaning the CME group, COMEX, raised margins by 300% into the end of the year. At the same time, the ETFs, the levered ETFs, all had to rebalance according to their prospectus to get things in order. And that means massive selling of gold and silver at the same time the CME group raised margins to the roof. It blew up the price. And so as the price was getting kneecapped, China bought and the central banks bought more than it ever before and lied about it. And the deliveries on the COMEX off the charts, $20 billion worth of gold in February. Someone took possession of 26 million ounces of silver were delivered in February, which was a non-delivery month for silver. Every other month, I mean, you can still take delivery, but not a primary month. So 26 million ounces, call silver in February $70. What are you talking? Over 2 billion.
It's a lot of ounces.
39 million ounces left COMEX, got on trucks and drove away in February. That's almost 3 million pounds of silver, worth about $4 billion. Who did that? Who ran logistics for that, Daryl? How many VW Volkswagens does it take to put 39 million ounces of silver in it? Or how many semi-trucks does it take? And where did it go? Who insured that? And who took possession of it? And these are the questions that I think are the only ones that matter, is that as the price was getting destroyed and the public was selling, the smartest money in the world was backing up the truck and leaving, or just setting it in the exchange. Now, if it were the U.S. government doing these massive deliveries under the Exchange Stabilization Fund, under the privacy and shroud of that, sure, leave it in COMEX. Make it seem like nothing's changing. It's just the banks doing paper games. No, it's not. And they wouldn't care. No one's going to steal their gold. So I just happen to think that we are sitting at a crossroads right now where everything is going to change, but don't expect it to happen immediately. Just keep looking at this progression of events and the footprints that are leading to a new system where gold and silver have far greater importance than they ever have. Now, I wouldn't count platinum out, but to me, it would be number 3 on the list.